Hi, this is Rebecca
and Leslie
with the Geeky Girls Night In podcast. Geeky Girls Night In is a podcast with your fandom family sleepover style.
Empowering fans and creating inclusive fan spaces where we can all be ourselves.
So get your jammies,
grab a drink,
gather the fur babies,
and join the conversation.
Hey guys, thanks for coming back this week.
Hello.
We're so happy you're here.
I am in my finest auntie nightgown.
Nice.
Ready to talk to y'all. So let's do this.
We have a lot of really exciting things today. We do have a few book reviews. Me and Leslie both read some books we're going to tell you about. Leslie has got, of course, as usual, doing the video game beat and the technology beat. Mm-hmm. And I'm going to be telling you about some writing opportunities and, lots of geeky news and an exciting announcement for me, actually.
We also have a guest today,
Mm-hmm.
Meghan Fitzmartin. She is the showrunner's assistant on Supernatural, and she is starting her own podcast called, it's a superhero audio drama, and it's called Red Rhino. So we'll hear from her in a few minutes.
I can't wait. I love podcasts that are audio dramas. Besides doing a podcast, I'm a huge podcast fan. So that's very exciting.
Hashtag tripod.
Okay, so you want to hit it off, Leslie, with your bit?
All right. So what are you drinking today?
Oh, well, this is kind of, it's a little bit silly. Hot chocolate in a Christmas mug. And then, of course, it's like high 80 degrees outside. But, whatever.
It's like 80 degrees here, too, in Indiana. Yeah. But it's also like 8:30 at night, so I'm okay. The Republic of Tea was absolutely kind in sending me a rather large sampler pack of all of their teas.
That is awesome.
It is so cool. So I'm drinking one of them, and it's called Good Hope Vanilla. And it's caffeine free because, like I said, it's 8:30 at night here.
Yeah.
And it's naturally caffeine free. And forgive my pronunciation, like even before we went on, I went onto YouTube and tried to see how to pronounce this. Rooibos. Anyway, that's the type
I know what you mean. I've only read it too. I haven't said it, but right. I know what you mean.
Well, like I looked and one of the comments on YouTube said it's Afrikaans for red bush, basically. Okay. So red bush tea. Nice. And it's blended with vanilla bean. And it tastes really good, and it's kind of funny. It gives me like hints of tobacco. And not like cigarette tobacco, but like actual plant tobacco. So we'll see. And I'm also drinking it in my little fairy mug that I got from Gen Con from Dryad Teas.
Lift it up again. I missed it. Lift it up. We're on. Oh, so cute. We're on Skype, so I can actually see it. But you can post a picture on Instagram too, where they can see it.
Yes. And if you drink the Republic of Teas, let us know. You can either tag us on Twitter and at Geeky Girl and I, and when you do, make sure you hashtag it sip by sip so Republic Tea sees it too. So
I love tea.
I do too. I have a ton of it. So this week in Geek, I actually finished up these books towards the end of last week, but I wasn't really ready to talk about them yet. Mm-hmm. I had to get my thoughts together because there was something that was bothering me and I couldn't quite figure out what it was, and then it hit me. So there is a book series, The Throne of Glass, and it's by a woman named Sara J. Maas. And those books are about, and I'm going to butcher this poor fairy's name, Aelin Galinthius. Okay, so she also wrote some other books, and it's a court of Roses and Thorns series, and it's kind of like the Hunger Games met Throne of Glass and Game of Thrones.
That sounds pretty intense.
It really is. It starts out with a young woman, and She's the youngest child. There are two older sisters and a father, and they used to be really wealthy. And uh, but it was one of those generational wealth situations where there wasn't really wealth. Like they were hiding behind kind of his, not his title, but hiding behind what he did as a person, and like her father was trying to desperately like pay off the debts that his ancestors had accumulated, but he made a bad investment. Uh, the people coming to collect their money and he didn't have it, broke his legs. And
Yikes.
right. And so like that kind of broke his spirit. And shortly after that, their mother died. And none of this is spoilers, by the way. This will be spoiler free. And so the dad is listless. He's not doing anything. The daughters who are used to all this finery, they're just like, oh no, what do we do? And it turns out on the mother's deathbed, she made the youngest one promise to always take care of her family. The youngest one.
Okay.
Right. So the youngest one like grows up a little bit, and she's the one that's taking care of the household. Like she goes out, like they've sold off all of their stuff because they're not rich anymore, and they live in a hovel in this town, and this whole town is hovelly, and
Bummer.
everybody's miserable. And the reason why everybody's miserable is because there was a great fairy war years and years and years ago, and then a treaty was written, and the fairies can't bother the humans anymore. Well, and when the fairies absconded to their side of the world, they took all their wealth, they took everything with them. So you have like a set people that are wealthy, but then you have everybody that was kind of a little dependent on the fairies, like,
and that was the
nobody has any
humans.
money. Right.
Okay.
They have no money. So she goes and she hunts in this forest, but it's dangerous to hunt in the forest because even though there's a wall dividing the fairies from the humans, the walls have cracks. The walls have magical cracks in them that allow some of the fairies to get through. And right, so ends up she kills a deer, and she also kills a wolf in that forest.
Okay.
And the wolf doesn't seem like a normal wolf to her.
But she kills him, or she figures that out afterwards.
She kills him. She skins him because she can't carry both the deer and the wolf home, but she can get money for his pelt. So she skins she skins the wolf, like, and the deer, and chops up the deer meat, but leaves the rest of the wolf alone. Turns out the wolf was an actual fairy.
Oh, jeez.
Just in this animal form.
Uh-oh.
And his commander, I'm gonna call him commander, was like, he could tell, like, they're magical, so he could tell he could tell which house killed his fairy bud. And he comes busting up in there. It was like, you've got a choice. I can either kill you outside right here, right now, or you can come home with me.
Oh, boy.
And live.
Right.
So
why would he want her if she killed his...
That you'll have to read the book to find out, because this is as far as I'm going to go with it.
Okay.
So she makes her choice, and I'm gonna tell you right now, there's 3 books, so you can kind of tell what kind of choice she made right there.
Right. Well, it's not a great choice, but you have to take it. So,
right.
Do you recommend the books? What do you think?
I recommend the books. However, there was a piece in there that sort of bothered me. And when we're talking about fairies, when we're talking about magical creatures, they get down to get down. They don't care what gender they're having sex with. They don't care about any of that. And I don't know if this is I don't think, spoiler just in case, okay? So she has a friend, and the friend has been friends with these 2 other friends who are male for years. And one of the males is in love with her. And she won't have anything to do with them. And so the girl's pestering her, why won't you do this? Why won't you do this? And finally it comes out that she prefers women.
Then this is the youngest girl, is the main character?
No, this is a completely different character. This is a friend of hers.
Okay.
That she's a fairy and she prefers women.
Okay.
This is not like the entire books. This has not been a big deal. There's been talks of men being with men and women being with women and men at the same time and stuff like that. But the fact that she prefers women apparently is a big deal in her fairy culture, because there's different sects of fairies.
Okay.
And in her fairy culture, and apparently if her parents would have found out, they would have destroyed her.
Destroyed her, like killed her?
Murked her. Murked her. Yeah.
Yikes.
So I'm just like, everybody's having sex with everybody else in this book, but because you prefer, because she has sex with men. She enjoys men too. But she says I forget.
So the sexual politics is a little bit wonky.
Yeah.
Like it doesn't make sense.
Like I put the book down and I put my Kindle down. And I put it down and I thought about it for a minute and then I came back and I'm like, this still doesn't make sense because she's been screwing everybody. So whatever. So that's something I'm a little touchy on that. That was a little odd.
Yeah.
So, but sense. Whatever.
Are you going to keep reading the books?
So here's the deal. I finished the first 3 books and then there's another book and they don't call it book number 4. They call it like 3.5. So it's like one of those novellas or whatever.
Right.
And I have it. I'm waiting for it from the public library for my Kindle. And the way it ended, I think there's going to be another book.
Okay. So you did enjoy it enough to keep reading it.
I did.
So you like what did you like about like the fairies or the intrigue or what? Yeah.
I love fairies. I love the intrigue. And
me
then
too.
Like these seem kind of teen lit like, but they're a little bit more mature. But they have that teen lit love triangle.
Okay.
That we all adore.
Nice.
But like instead of this love triangle dragging on and on, like, oh, I can't choose between you. Oh, I can't choose between you. Like this thing is cut like a ribbon. I love that.
Yeah.
Like some stuff happened and she was like, no, ma'am. Good day, sir.
Nice.
Cool.
Cool.
So it was, yeah, you guys need to check it out. Let me know if you guys like it. They're fairly quick reads. I read one, like I had 3 hours to myself. So I read one in 3 hours flat. So
nice.
Yes, please check that out. So in other random gay news, so I don't play Overwatch. It's a popular game, much like Fortnite.
Yeah, my son is obsessed with Overwatch. He loves it.
Okay, so they came out with a short video for DVA. I don't know how to pronounce this. It's D.VA. And what a lot of people took from that is she has a close relationship. I'm not saying if it's a friendship or if it's something more with another young woman in the game, D.MON. Like the backstory is they played on the same esports team and all this other stuff. So, but like it's cute because you have all these little teenagers that are like, they're together, and they started making fan art, and it's so cute. And they're like holding hands and eating ice cream. It's so like it's innocent. It's innocent art. Like they're eating ice cream, holding hands together. I love it. I love it. And like, I was reading the comments. And I know the rules. You're not supposed to read the comments.
Yeah, it's so important. It's hard not to. Oh, it's so hard not to sometimes. Oh.
But I ventured down there, and what I got was a bunch of, I don't know if it was gentlemen or women or what. They're like, why can't they just be friends? Why can't they're just friends and they're just close. And I'm like, okay, so I'm straight, but I get the fact that people tend to mirror in their art what they want to see.
Yeah. Just let people
like,
ship. Jeez Christ.
Yeah.
Like, I never understand that.
People are being the change that they want to see.
There you go.
They are making like Overwatch character like girlfriend fan art, and I'm here
Yeah,
for it. I hope
totally.
you guys are out there creating all of this cute stuff that makes me
Yes.
go aw, and my boss is like, "What are you all at?" So, all
That
right.
is right.
So that was really a quick one. Um, I just wanted to remind everybody that Babes at the Border. Now remember, this is that fundraiser that they're doing to raise
Hmm.
funds for the people that are helping the children that have been asylumed at the border.
Babies at the
Um,
border.
yes, babies. September 5th is submission deadline. So if you
Hmm.
have a fan fiction that you want to contribute, your time is coming up. October 3rd, so like a month from now, is the final day to submit donations for that. So if you want to get that guide, I believe it's $5, and you get all of this fan fiction. Like, it's a huge compendium of fan fiction. They've done this before for mental illness, and the amount of like little shorts that you get is amazing for the value. So, and then October 10th is the day that they start sending out the compilation. So, if this is something that you really want to get on, and I'll put a link in the show notes letting you know where, like, the Facebook pages and everything.
Cool.
All right. And then moving on. So, if you look at our fan art, Rebecca has
Hmm.
dogs plural. I
Yes.
have I have a dog, but what you don't see in there is my husband's cat, because I don't like that cat.
Right.
That is my husband's cat, and like currently I'm very angry at him because I brought flowers home, and like when we go to sleep he chews on them and then proceeds to throw up everywhere. And he does this all the time, and he's dumb, and this cat, y'all, this cat. Anyway, so the cat also has anxiety issues.
Aw.
Like, don't aw, this cat is
I'm
just,
gonna aw. I have anxiety, so I feel bad for anybody who has anxiety.
I do too, but this cat, oh my God. So, and his anxiety has been acting up. Like, something's wrong, and we can't quite figure out what it is.
Uh-huh.
But whenever this happens, he licks himself raw in a patch on his back.
Aw.
So, that means it's cone of shame time.
Right.
So we got on Chewy.com, and this isn't an ad. This wasn't paid for. They didn't say. I just need to tell you guys my story. So we get on Chewy.com, and I'm gonna post the pictures of this, but we get him a cone of shame that's like a lion. It looks like it's got lion ears, and like it'll make him look like a lion, a Siamese cat lion.
Aw. That's so cute.
Yeah, it's hilarious. I laughed, and Kiki baby laughed so
Aw.
hard she fell off the couch.
I want to see the pictures. Have you posted them yet?
I haven't posted them yet.
Oh,
I will.
cute.
There's a whole video. Well, here's the thing. Like, we put it on him, and he freaked out.
Aw.
Like, I've never seen him freak out this bad before. And he got it off himself twice. So we're like, you know what? This isn't going to work. We're going to have to figure something else out. And the reason why I bring up Chewy.com is because that's where we bought it from, because we buy his kitty litter there. We buy his food and the dog's food there. And so we bought it, didn't work out. My husband goes to set up an RMA, and they're like, well, we're sorry it didn't work out for you. We've refunded the money, and don't worry, or they didn't say don't worry about it, but can go ahead and donate that cone of shame to your local humane society.
Oh, that's nice.
Right. So we did. Like, husband took it over there, and they were like, it's a lion, and started screaming.
That's so cute.
So there's somebody at the Humane Society that a cat at the Humane Society is gonna look like a lion. I'm here for it.
Nice.
But I just thought that was really great. So if you're in
That
the
is a
need
great
for
idea, yeah.
supplies or something, go ahead and check out Chewy.com. We order them from them all the time, because the cat also has allergies.
Oh,
And he
wow.
can't have normal kitty litter. He has to have something specifically dust free.
Okay.
This cat is so annoying. Oh my God. So, anyway, moving on. We're almost done here with me, I promise. I'm still in the hunt for the gaming case of my geeky dreams.
Oh, no luck yet?
No luck at all. So, you know, case designers, if you want to get a hold of me, I am always available to let you know what I need in a case. Also, me and my husband were discussing, I also need like a customized chair because I'm gonna tell you, I'm 5'1", and so I sit at the edge of chairs. My back is never hitting the chair because
Oh no.
right, because otherwise I dangle. And even when the chair's all the way down, and then plus I got junk in the trunk, and so if I do hit the back, like I'm not proportioned well, I guess. So not proportioned for a chair. So I need a customized chair. So if anybody knows of any place where I can get a customized computer chair, or I can maybe look at, that would be super. Thank you. And then not last week, but the week before, I told you all my systems went kaput,
Right.
and we installed a new solid state hard drive. Well, the solid state hard drive started acting like it would freeze everything. So we ended up having to return that. And I just put a new solid state one in today, and let's see how that goes.
Nice.
All right, and then I'm gonna end it with this. The Jacks. I don't know if you saw. You had to.
Yeah, of course I did. The shooting.
Yeah.
Oh,
Yeah, the shooting down in Jacksonville while people
so
were just playing
sad.
Madden.
So awful.
Right. Well, here's where I have an issue. One of the victims is suing the venue and EA Games for not providing a safe environment. But like, what are they supposed to do? Like, what does EA have to do with any of this at all? I know the person's angry, and their anger is justified, but I don't know how this is gonna go.
You know what though? Like at a time like this, we don't really know all the details, so who knows? Like as it goes, maybe something will come out. Because usually, if they know something and don't act, or you know what I mean, like who knows what little nitty gritty details are going to come out? Because I think it is hard to just do a lawsuit and not have some kind of reasoning. So maybe that'll come out. You know, I don't know.
Unless like an ambulance chaser got to him and was like, "Hey, you have a case." So it's a little concerning.
Yeah. Well, it's early still. Who knows?
Indeed.
But,
and that's it for me.
Okay, so for my Week in Geek segment, I have a couple of reviews. One, for book reviews, I read The Wizard of Earthsea by Ursula LeGuin. So I read this book because it's a classic and a lot of people talk about it, and I have never read anything by Ursula Le Guin. And as I'm more seriously writing my novel, I'm trying to, read the ones that are really beloved. And it's a fantasy novel, and it's set in a fictional archipelago of Earthsea, centers around a young mage named Ged, born in a village. He displays great power while still a boy and joins a school of wizardry, where his prickly nature drives him into conflict with one of his fellows. During a magical duel, his spell goes awry and releases a shadow creature. So, it's very much about people who live on the ocean, so a lot of seagoing, wizardry. In the beginning, I could, when I first started reading this, I can definitely see different, like, more modern books. I mean, this isn't old. I think it was like 69?
68.
68. But like The Name of the Wind by Patrick Rothfuss, when I read, I'm like, oh, well, that definitely owes a big debt to this book. Like, you can see a lot of more new ones were definitely inspired. A lot of it was inspired. Like his personality, definitely a lot of it. I went, oh, okay. And then a lot of the magic revolves around naming things. And that's also The Name of the Wind. I mean, you can tell in the title.
Interesting.
And so, it's very much based in knowing the true names of things. So one reason I didn't read this book before is because, it's referred to as a children's book. But I feel like, I'm coming to realize every book that has a child as the main character, or is a child in the beginning, is categorized as a children's book.
Yep.
But
I think Harry Potter was.
Yeah, which is not a children's book. So I definitely did not read this as a children's book, even though he is a child, because the themes in it were very, very deep, very, man against man, and knowing yourself and making peace with yourself, and conquering your own fear. And, it's not a traditional, say, fantasy novel in the sense of, oh, there's a big bad that's trying to conquer the world and I'm trying to stop him, or I'm going on a quest to stop this bad guy. Like, it's very much about sort of your internal wars with yourself. So I really loved it. All of the magic was really sort of delightful, and it's very thought provoking.
Are you gonna read the other 6 or the 5?
I don't know. I'm kind of weird in that I tend to just read one of everything.
Really?
Okay. So it's a little weird, but I've always had this personality where I want to sample everything the world has to offer. I want to visit every place. I want to read every book. I want to meet every person. And so to me, like, revisiting something feels like, well, I could be trying these new things. So it's just my own weird psychology that I tend to read one book in series. And when I watch a TV show, I'll often just watch one season. I just want to know enough to know what it's all about, and I can talk about it to other people. But then I want to try something else because there's just too many things I want to try. I'm a very much a variety person.
The TV thing I understand, but like, I'm such a voracious reader that you can't leave. Like, that's how I ended up reading the entire Little House on the Prairie series.
I mean, I'm voracious, but I don't want to read the same books. Like, I have a 250.
Right.
I have a 250 list book I want to read.
But I bought that Farmer's Boy book, the Almanzo Wilder story, and I'm like, well, if he's eating like this in this one, they have to be eating good in all of them. I must have them all.
Yeah, no, I know it's odd, but that's how I am. I might circle back to them. Mm-hmm. But my sister once was like, "Hey, I'm going to get you something for your birthday." And everybody knows I want to get a book. If you're going to buy me anything for a present, I want a book. So I have a good reason. She's like, "There's 250 books in here. Which ones do you really want?" I'm like, "All of them." So that's just how I am. So I tend to move on quick. I've already started reading a different series. His Majesty's Dragon by Naomi Novik, and I actually read it because on Felicia Day's podcast, Felicitation, she was reading it and she recommended it. And I'm like halfway through, but I freaking love dragons, and I didn't realize how much I missed dragons, so I'm enjoying it. I also tried another podcast called Our Opinions Are Correct. Now, that is a science fiction podcast. So it's Annalee Newitz and Charlie Jane Anders. And these are two women who started the IO9 blog. So I don't know if you've been on that one, but I really like that blog. And they're also both incredibly accomplished, talented sci-fi writers. And Annalee Newitz, a science journalist who writes science fiction. Charlie Jane Anders, a science fiction writer who's obsessed with science. And actually, one of Charlie Jane Anders' short stories was on LeVar Burton Reads, because, I'm obsessed with LeVar Burton Reads. And so I was like, well, I got to try her podcast. And I definitely recommend it. If you like sci-fi at all, like, they're both incredibly just intelligent, they're banter, they're very funny. They're both queer women, so they're very, you're going to get like a very inclusive perspective, and that's very relatable. So I definitely recommend it. I definitely subscribe to that one. Wanted to let people know 2 different writing opportunities are coming up. We'll put the links in the show notes, but Christina Areola on Twitter, she's a senior books editor for Bustle, said that she's looking for Latinx women and non-binary writers to pitch stories on the first time they saw themselves represented in a book. So her Twitter handle is C_Areola, ARREOLA. And then the other, is Natalie Wee, and she's with Daily Extra, and it's Nat Wee Writer, NATWEE Writer. And she's seeking personal essays for all LGBT folks. And it's a very similar topic the moments you first saw yourself in pop culture. So both of them said it's paid and they're accepting pitches on a rolling basis. So if you want to get your personal essays in there, do so. Bryn Donovan, a paranormal fantasy writer and friend of the show, she has got a new book coming out. This one she wrote for her day job. She works for Hallmark. And she has, it is called Sunrise Cabin. And it looks like just a very comforting, like the cover's very fall and warm and leaves are falling. And there's like a recipe included for like, I forget what it is, but something like rolls or, something very, very comfort foody. But anyway, I love her writing. I'm definitely going to pre-order it. And it's definitely like a cozy romance. So if you want like something very warm and stuff for your night in Doctor Who / Star Wars news, Matt Smith, my favorite Doctor, was cast in Star Wars. So he has already started shooting. So I'm really, really excited to see that. As far as Doctor Who news, I wish I could tell you we had a premiere date, but we still don't. So I'm still just losing my mind.
No?
Yeah. And then I also want to say for the Wayward Sisters episodes, I was telling you guys I was doing a video with reaction video and podcast for the Wayward Sisters episodes. I can't figure out. I'm gonna have to redo the whole thing. So, but watch the space.
Yes.
And then we are about to do the interview. I just wanted to tell you guys one thing, which is actually a pretty big deal. I'm a finalist in the Telefilms Pitch to Production contest. So for those who aren't familiar, Telefilms is a sort of a niche streaming service with LGBT women in their content. So they focus on content with LGBT women characters. And once a year, I think it's annually, they do a contest where you pitch a show. The only requirement they have is that there has to be LGBT woman character and that you can't kill her off. So that's the basic thing. And then they choose several finalists. So the finalists tape their pitch videos and then they post that. And then I'm not completely clear on how the rest of the process works. I don't think it's like a vote, but it will be, the reaction of viewers and fans, I'm sure will have some kind of influence in who's chosen as the winner. So the winner gets, I think it's like $4,000 worth of labor on their part. Plus, I'm sure a lot more. Like, basically, they're just really, really committed to mentoring new voices and mentoring diverse storytellers. And they are directors, they're producers, and with a really, really impressive careers. And so I think a lot of it is just, getting mentors in the industry. So they said they're really interested in supporting the finalists regardless, which is very, very cool, very sweet. So I'm very excited. I did not, I'm writing the novel, but I didn't pitch the novel. I pitched actually a show based in Palm Springs in the district office of the first lesbian member of Congress from California. Awesome. And I will have a video up very soon, and it's going to be focused around Paulina, who's going to be the caseworker. She's a young immigrant and a lesbian, and so it's going to be kind of, they just win the election. They think the worst part is behind them, but they have no idea what they're in for, because being in a political office is crazy, and that's a lot of pressure, and it's fast paced, and how will their friendships fare? How will their love lives fare? And that kind of thing. So I'll be posting it soon, and I hope you guys like it, and we'll see how it goes. So I'm really honored. I'm really, it's just a very validating thing. I think when you're a writer or any kind of creative, or really anybody, you get a lot of rejection in life. So when you get something where someone says, hey, we see value in your ideas, it's a really awesome feeling. So I'm happy.
Yay! Congratulations.
Thanks. And after this, I'll be going and actually taping it. And so you guys will see it and hopefully help me support it. And we'll go from there. So I really don't have anything. I don't have any idea what I'm doing as far as taping anything. So the first thing I did was go in my Winona Earp fan group chat because Winona Earp fandom is absurdly supportive. And right away, people were helping me, just brainstorm and stuff like that.
So cool. So cool. Yeah.
Okay, so we're really, really, really excited to have Meghan on our show. So please stay tuned for that interview.
Meghan Fitzmartin's mother once told her that no one will ever remember her last name, and she took it as a challenge. The showrunner's assistant on the long-running Supernatural, Meghan is an award-winning writer who has recently written episodes for DC Superhero Girls and her own superhero audio drama, Red Rhino. Let's welcome Meghan. Yay!
Welcome,
Hi.
Meghan.
Hi, thanks for having me here.
Our pleasure.
Thank you. So, what are you drinking this evening?
Man, something red.
Yes, that's all that matters. Whiny.
It's a Charles Shaw 2-bug chuck cab.
Oh, nice. Perfect.
Oh yeah.
Yes.
Oh yeah. Then I'm gonna quickly move over to a Wish Flowers that I also got from Trader Joe's. That is $5.
Nice. I love Trader Joe's. Love it.
Awesome. I am not quite sure how we connected on Twitter. No clue. But you're amazing and a wealth of knowledge. And you're also the one that recommended the podcast Wolf 359 to me that I haven't finished yet, but I'm almost through it. But so no spoilers. I know, and I'm sad that it ended.
I know.
Okay, I'm adding that to my notes. I need to watch that. Okay.
Yeah, girl. Or listen to it because it's a podcast.
Yes,
it's
sci-fi. It's right up your alley.
Yeah.
Oh man, it's got all of the feels. It took me a couple episodes to get into it personally, but once it hits, I think episode 8, it just, oh gosh, everything hurts.
Oh no. I don't know why you think Supernatural fans would like something like that. I don't know what you mean. So oh sorry, go ahead.
It's just so good. It's and then there's an episode where Minkowski talks about her name, Minkowski, and how he always butchers it, and it's just so good.
Yeah, that's now on my list, so there you go. Yeah, I mean I'm a podcast obsessive anyway.
And we live in such a good time where there's so many
really
good ones.
and lots of stuff for genre fans. Fans. So cool. And speaking of genre, you know that Leslie and I are both big Supernatural fans. Actually, I was at Comic-Con this year. I don't know if you went for San Diego. So I was in the panel, and I go every year because I just love seeing, the gag reel. It's always fun being the first person to see the gag reel. You're always like, yes. Everyone else online is like, when are we going to get a good copy? And I'm like, ha ha ha.
I've already seen it.
Yes,
so great.
exactly. And then, we were also lucky enough to get some scenes from leading into next season. So, is there anything you're looking forward to as far as any characters or relationships or plot lines or anything that may be explored that you're looking forward to seeing?
I could talk about my deep love of Supernatural all along day. I think the show is really great, and I think that it continues to be a bright spot of just wonderful goodness. A thing that I'm really excited about. I'm really stoked about the whole Michael of it all.
Yes. Yes.
Just seeing how that all plays out.
Yeah.
I'm excited to see all of that kind of play out, and I deeply love Jack. In a way,
oh my God, me too.
I was not expecting to love Jack. And then Alexander Calvert is just such a phenomenal actor and just plays it so well, and is so watching the interviews with him, he's just so great, and he puts up with a lot.
Yeah. Well, it is, it's one of those things where you can't really predict that sort of lightning in the bottle when everything is going to fit in perfectly, where you're like, this is such a great addition. Our little nougat, I love it.
He's such a little nougat. I saw somebody on Twitter had posted somebody's cosplay of Jack, and I was like,
Oh,
oh,
that's
so
Christine.
sweet.
I think probably Christine, my friend Christine
did too.
Stansbury. It's
Yeah,
called.
yeah.
I think her Twitter's like Strobe. She's a production system, but she went to films for costuming, and her cosplay is amazing. That's got to be
Yeah.
one of my favorite ones she's done. Another one of my favorite is Gym Teacher Dean. She does Gym Teacher Dean, which
Yes,
is hilarious.
yeah, that's fair. That's a good one. It's a fun. Look, our boys are mostly plaid, so like it's easy to cosplay that. And so whenever there's something new and exciting,
People
to, like,
jump on
dress
it.
up as, I know. I'm like, I don't blame them. I'm like, oh, good, something new.
So fun.
Other than the sea of plaid that I constantly see. So, which we also wear around the office. It's so funny because I think that we just, what the show is,
Yeah.
we just end up assimilating into.
Yeah.
We all just wear plaid. One day I showed up to work, and I saw a sea of plaid and was like, guys, what did we do?
Well, speaking of the costume, so, the look for Michael, Dean going to the next season, he said he designed that, and he also said he chose the gym teacher outfit, and he's like, you're welcome. He's so funny. But I love seeing, people who are on shows that I like are also geeks for other shows, right? They have their own obsessions, and he loves Peaky Blinders, which is a freaking amazing show. So he actually said Peaky Blinders inspired that look going into the next season, and I was like, that is so cool. He loves the same show I love, too, because I love that show, too. And it's a great look.
It's so great to see, and I think Twitter does a lot of that. And I think that that's actually, Leslie, how we connected, is just, being able to see things and connect with things, because people just love things so unabashedly,
right?
And across the board, and so being able to kind of connect with people in a pure way of oh, I love this thing too, and being so unabashedly enthusiastic about something is a joy. So.
Well, that's the heart and soul of being a nerd to begin with. So
I agree. Yeah, 100%, 100%.
This is so awesome. I'm so excited to have you here. I'm so just happy. So let's talk a little bit about your day job. How did you become a showrunner's assistant, and what does a gig like that entail?
Yeah, so most people don't know what it is.
No clue.
Fair. I got really excited and told my parents and everyone that I knew that I got a showrunner's assistant gig, and everyone was like,
yeah.
Okay, well.
Yay!
Right.
What is that?
Yeah, and to be fair, there are a lot of difficult. The industry in and of itself has the weirdest names for things, and so on top of that, even within a writer's office, it has even weirder names. Although showrunner is kind of exactly what it sounds like. You run the show,
right?
It's cool because I think Supernatural fans are a little bit more aware of how the show is run than most fandom.
We like to get in the weeds.
Well, sure, but I think there's also a really interesting sense of community that happens on the show, and being aware of, because on a lot of shows people don't really know who the writers are.
Yeah.
You just know that it's produced somehow.
Right.
And so I think that Supernatural is one of the few shows that actually has kind of an idea of the showrunner, but it basically just is the person that runs the show. We have two. My boss is Andrew Dabb, who's been on the show since season 4, and Bob Singer, who's been on the show forever.
Right. Since the first episode.
Yeah, pretty much. My boss, it's cool too because my boss comes from a long line of really impressive showrunners that have come through. So it started with Kripke, and then it was Sarah Gamble, and then Jeremy Carver, and now Andrew. And basically our show is so different from other shows in Hollywood that it is kind of a well-oiled machine. But Andrew still makes a lot of the if there needs to be a choice that needs to be made immediately, he'll do it. And he and Bob separate some of the work sometimes too. But it's just such a well-oiled machine that they're very easily into the flow of things, and he can be final say. They both can be final say on stuff. With my boss being more so on the story side of things. And so when I got the job, this is my first show to work on. I came from Warner Brothers estimating, which is a fancy way of saying the money department of Warner Brothers Television. I learned a lot about the money side of things and the business side of things, and like what money goes where, and especially because like so much of Warner Brothers is done through Vancouver, like how international money is done and stuff like that, which
Wow.
was really beneficial because I got to see a bunch of budgets and I got to see how all these different shows are kind of run.
Right.
And it was so interesting, and I recommend almost every writer look at like the backside of things and see how that side of things runs and what is important, and like why money flow is really important and beneficial and necessary to know in terms of writing stories. And I knew Bob Singer's assistant, Brigitte, and they were looking for a PA. That I didn't get that job because of some things, but they were like, look, if Jeremy's show goes, which was Frequency, then Andrew will move up and he'll need an assistant because he doesn't have an assistant. And I was like, great, keep me in mind. I'm not going to get my hopes up because who knows in this town.
Right.
But the stars aligned and we were very lucky, and I was able to jump over onto the show and assist Andrew. And so like my day-to-day is making sure that Andrew's there and running stuff and making sure that like he's connected to the production department because we are in Vancouver, and so that presents some problems, and trying to make sure that we're as cohesive a unit as possible. And a lot of rooms are different. A lot of showrunners' assistants will have different responsibilities, and so but at the end of the day, it's just supporting your showrunner, and it's making sure that like the show can run as smoothly as possible by making sure that your boss is as well equipped as possible.
That makes a lot of sense. I use my daytime careers in politics, and taking care of a politician is keeping their life together and staffing them, and that can be a full-time job in and of itself. So
yeah, and I mean Andrew is like the best boss, and he truly is like such a wonderful person to work for because he's very supportive and
that's awesome.
Takes care of a lot of things on his own, which sometimes I'm like, but Andrew, I can do that. That's actually my job. I'm gonna take care of this. He's like, okay, yeah, that's fine. But yeah, so like that's just kind of like my day to day, and learning a lot. I read all of the episodes because I was able to, and I learned a lot from that. And planning, I plan some of our parties, like our premiere party and our like Christmas party.
Oh, how fun!
I remember seeing that. I remember seeing the Christmas party, and I was like, "This is so cute. Her job is so fun."
That's so cute.
Fun. It's very sweet, and I love. It works out so well because I love the family of people that's there. Like I really enjoy being with them on the day to day, and
that's what makes all the difference.
Exactly.
It makes all the difference.
So
I like all my coworkers except for one. I want to fight him.
Let's name names. No, I'm just kidding. It's like Roxanne Gay. Do you guys follow Roxanne Gay on Twitter? And she's always talking about her nemesis, but she's not going to tell us who.
I know.
So funny.
Sometimes I'm like, girl, come on.
Just tell us. Okay. Well,
yeah. I feel good if you just have one person that you want to fight. Like that's not a bad space either.
Right. Like I came from a job previous to this where like I would promptly come home and like I would be in tears and I would be like, "Where's the bourbon?"
Immediately.
Yeah.
Immediately. And like nobody believed how bad it was. And then and then my husband, he got a new job consulting, and his first consulting gig was at my old job. And he came home that first day and was like, "I am so sorry. I didn't believe you. This place is bananas.
Yeah.
Who's running anything?" And I'm like, "Girl, I don't work there no more. Sorry."
I wash my hands of the whole thing.
No,
Exactly.
Well, let's jump into your new podcast. You know, Leslie and I are also big podcast fans, and so this is very exciting. So I think it just went up, didn't it? So I haven't actually heard it yet. So I'm really excited. Can you tell us what it's about? Give us a little synopsis.
Yeah, I can. It is about a teenage boy who gets superpowers that are really lame.
That sounds awesome.
There's a little bit more in there, but that's like the heart and soul of it has always been just kind of his kid. And I remember getting this idea a while ago. I actually had this idea in college, and I wrote a short film kind of about it. That I wrote but didn't make or anything. But I had this story and I had this character in my head. His name is Wes Whitaker, because this is a superhero show, so we do all of the alliteration.
Awesome.
And I had him in my head for a long time, and I remember, I am a female who deeply loves comics, and I remember being really mad at myself because I was like, there's so many dude stories in comics. Like, there are so many dudes that get powers as a teenager, and like, son of a gun, like, why? And but I couldn't, but I kept trying to think about ways to change the story, and I just couldn't, because he had wormed his way into my heart. And so I started thinking about it, and I was like, well, what is really cool about this, and about a character that gets powers that he doesn't like, is that it becomes kind of a story about privilege, and about how, like, just because you get these powers, you still have a responsibility to use it, because nobody else has this. And I was really inspired by this video that's gone on around Facebook for a long time, that's about, like, this woman who's talking about this experience that she had at a supermarket, and about how her cousin, who is white passing, goes through and has no issue, and how she does, because she is not white passing, she's black. And so she's like, she gets berated by this clerk who's just like, maybe this check isn't yours, or like whatever, just gets this time. And her cousin, who did not have this problem, stops and says, excuse me, like, you didn't do any of this with me. This isn't acceptable. And like, it was just a thing that a story that I thought about, where like, we don't really teach people what to do with the fact that, like, it's not great, like, that nobody likes it necessarily, like, it works out really well, but like, it's still, it's a thing that nobody talks about. And how, like, great, if this is a story about this kid, then if this is a story about a teenage boy, then this is the thing that I want, that I want teenage boys to learn, is that, like, you have a power. It may not be the one that you want, but you've still got to learn how to use it, because because a lot depends on it. And what are you going to do? And that became a story that I was interested in telling. And, a story about Wes, and like, the story is about Wes, but it's about the women in his life, and it's about, the people who didn't get these powers, and how that also sucks. And it's, but all in the guise of, all under the gaze of, like, superheroes and genre, which is something that I deeply love. Like, I grew up with superheroes, and I grew up because I have a hard enough time interacting with my own emotion, and identifying it. And so genre was so abstract enough for me to understand, oh, this is what I'm feeling, and this is how I understand it. I have to use, like, the Fantastic Four to understand that I am feeling anger in this moment. And so, being able to tell big stories, or abstract stories on a genre level, was something that was really important to me, and became important for Wes, and the story that I wanted to tell with him. So
that's awesome.
Yeah.
So good. Well, we kind of gazed over my next question, so I'm going to actually skip that one.
Okay.
Great.
And what do you hope the audience takes away from Red Rhino?
I honestly, first and foremost, hope that they like it.
Yeah.
I mean, that's like my major thing right now. It's launching in a couple of hours, and I'm just, living in this anticipation of, like, dear heaven, what if no one likes it? Which I think is a very common creator feeling.
Right.
Yeah.
So
what if they do, though?
You caught me. Well, I'm not worried about that yet. That's even worse. No.
Well, I can't wait to hear it myself. So
thank you. So yeah, I hope that I'm excited for people to hear it, because I hope that it is a thing that's engaging and entertaining, first of all, and then second of all, there are some things that I've put in there that are close to my heart, and I do want to take away, like, those things about, like, the importance and responsibility. But at the end of the day, all I ever want from any of my stories is that people are loved. Like, that's it. I just want people to be loved through stories.
Yeah.
So
that's awesome.
I think that's at the end of the day what I want.
Nice.
Very cool.
So I saw on Twitter you got to do a DC Superhero Girls episode.
I did.
How
I actually
did
got to
that
do
come
two.
about, and what was that like?
So the DC Superhero Girl, I wrote, one is out now, at the time that this is going to be released. It's called Kidnap. It has Batgirl and Damian, two of my very favorites.
Uh-huh.
I begged to be able to use Damian, and did not know if that was going to be okay. And when I got the okay, I was like, oh,
Nice. That is
I
so
don't need to
cool.
do anything else.
What a dream.
It was. And then I have another one coming out. I think it'll be out this week or next week, sometime soon, at the time of recording. So it might be out by the time it's posted. I don't know. They don't really give me a release date either, so I don't know when anything's going up.
Gotcha.
But it came about because, so as you guys know, we did a Scooby Natural episode.
What? I
last
didn't
year.
know that. I hadn't heard of that. No, I'm just kidding. That was such a great episode. Yes.
It didn't come up. No, it was an amazing episode.
Really, yes.
Written by Jeremy Adams and Jim Craig, who are two amazing writers, and they're prominent in Warner Brothers Animation.
Uh-huh.
Jim's actually done voices for Scooby, like way back in the day too.
It was so brilliant. It was so brilliant.
It's so good, and it's good in a way that, like, I don't think any of us. I've seen that episode so many times from so many perspectives, and I'm still not over it. Like, I'm still not okay or calm or chill.
Right.
Episode of Scooby-Doo and Supernatural.
Well, it's so hard to pull off something like that.
It is astounding.
Just the emotional deftness that it takes.
Want to be able to take it seriously, which is the thing that Supernatural gets to do. It gets to straddle that line because of, I believe, because those seeds, the meta seeds were kind of sown way early on. Yeah. Even in like seasons 1 and 2, right. And so we're able to do really cool stuff like that. And so Jeremy had the idea, and Jeremy started coming to the office more, and I got to know him really well, and we became friends, and we were talking, and I was like, yeah, like I write, and I sent him some scripts and stuff, and he's like, I do freelance stuff for Warner Brothers Animation, and I think that your scripts are really great. I'd like to give you a couple of scripts. And so we worked that out, and like being able to like pitch that to him and earn it that way was really, really great.
So cool.
And he, you know, it's always nice to have someone that believes in you. It's really
yes.
like,
yes.
And I'm super lucky in that aspect, because he's like, no, I think that you're great, and I really think that you do well in this. And so I got to write a show that I think is delightful, and two characters that I absolutely adore, and had the best time.
Just doesn't get better than that. That's awesome.
This is great. This is honestly the dream.
Yeah.
So,
All right. So let's do a quick lightning round of questions.
Yeah.
You ready? All right.
Let's do it.
All right. Other than Red Rhino, which everybody that's listening to this, go subscribe now.
Yes.
Right this second. Can't wait. We got time. It's Labor Day. So, recommend a podcast.
If no one has listened to it, they should listen to all of the Bright sessions immediately.
I've never listened.
Nah.
Never.
I've heard of it, but I haven't actually listened to it yet.
It's written and run by my amazing friend Lauren Shippen, who is brilliant. And it's about people with superpowers in therapy.
Oh.
Yeah. Well, it's on, like, when I look for best podcasts that tell, fiction, basically stories, it's always in the top 5. So it's on my list, but I haven't actually listened to it yet. So I'll get on that.
She's an amazing creator, first of all. Female creator is something that I'm super passionate about, on top of the fact that it's super inclusive.
Mm-hmm.
It's got a lot of LGBTQ stuff that's amazing and well done, and she puts so much importance in mental health, which I think is really great. Like, her sister works for an organization that like deals with it specifically, has gone to school for it and everything, and so she was very intentional on having it not be dangerous.
Right.
Essentially.
Right.
A lot of stuff
Cool.
can be. There's some stuff that's out there right now that I'm like, that's actively dangerous for people.
Oh, yeah, it certainly
yeah.
is.
And Bright Sessions, I think, is just absolutely beautiful and well done, and it's just super uplifting, but also really good, just good stuff, good content, good story.
Is she the one, like, didn't she do like she watches popular things that aren't
Yes.
popular anymore? Well, they're not they're popular still, but they're not as popular as when they first came out, and she's like completely confused.
She did a video series a couple of years ago on YouTube that was like Lauren's opinion of something based off of Tumblr.
I love stuff like that.
Oh yeah, it's pretty hilarious.
Yeah.
I don't know that they're still up, but like they were really great. Yeah, because there was stuff that she had like seen before, but there was a lot of stuff on Tumblr that she's like, I don't know what this is, but I have an opinion of it based off of what Tumblr thinks it is.
That's so funny. Oh my God, I love those.
Great, she's super funny.
One of the things you've said as far as your writing advice is just to keep writing, and then if it's bad or good, it doesn't matter. You're not going to get better without practice, so just keep writing. Which I'm a writer too. I love that.
Yeah.
I love that advice, though it is hard to keep sometimes. It's easy to kind of go, oh God, no, it sucks. But so as far as podcast, I know yours is new, but do you have any advice on how do you get better at podcasting? We're still pretty new and we're still trying to feel this out. Like, do you have advice for that?
Yeah, my advice is don't be hard on yourself. You're doing great. And like,
Yay.
you really are. You have something important to say, and like living in that and standing in that, and you know, it's not comparing yourself to other people, but like knowing what it is that you want out of it, and knowing what it is that like you have to say, because it is important and it is good. I think that a lot of people get caught up on like things being perfect or not, and like the fact of the matter is it doesn't have to be. Nobody's perfect.
Yeah.
And that means more when things are imperfect.
Yeah.
Because life is messy and we are messy, and nobody knows what they are, especially as a podcast. Nobody knows what they are like the first couple of rounds.
Yeah.
Like I've been doing another podcast called Wine and Comics for like 3 years, maybe a long time.
That's awesome.
And we still have no clue what we're doing, but we love doing it.
That's the thing, right?
Yeah, exactly.
That is so cool.
And like I've gone back to even like show writing. Like I've gone back to my scripts this week. I even went back to some of my scripts that I wrote years ago, and just constantly working on it and understanding that like who I was then and what I wrote then was good for that time, and now I can update it with who I am now and what I know now. And like we're constantly learning, we're constantly evolving. No one expects you to be perfect right off the bat, except you.
Right? You're so right. You're so right. I think I needed to hear that. That's awesome. Thank you.
Of course.
Yeah,
I believe it, and I'm also saying it to myself. So,
yes, exactly.
I'm like that with like technology stuff. I'm like, you have a degree in it, you should know it all.
Girl.
Like,
Technology specifically, how can you know it all? Because it's so constantly changing. I'm like so impressed you know anything. Do you know what I'm like? You know any of it.
But so the minute I don't know something, like it's a complete meltdown. I have to go sit in the bathroom somewhere for. I'm like, I should know this.
Yes.
Why don't I know this?
Girl, I get it.
I can relate.
But like, it's all learning. You know?
Absolutely. Yeah. Absolutely.
It is. So, final questions. Where can we find you and your podcast out in these internet streets?
Out in the mean streets of Twitter.
Exactly.
So I am across the board at MegFitz89. You can find me everywhere under that handle. I was 8 years old when I came up with it, and at some point I'm probably going to be real upset about having my birth year in it, but that day is not today, friends. So so MegFitz89 is where I'm at everywhere. Cool. And then in terms of Red Rhino, I am at on Twitter. It is Red Rhino Pod. So how you expect to spell red and rhino and just POD. And then you can follow us on Facebook. We're on there. And then on Instagram, I have to check because I'm pretty sure I had it be the same. Oh, no, it's Red Rhino Podcast. So it's the whole word for that one.
And we'll put the links in the show notes, but it's
Yeah,
but it's good to also, tell people. So
Yes.
Yeah. You're listening and you're, immediately wanting to follow all of the things.
Yes.
And there you go.
Well, thank you so much for being our guest. It's such a pleasure to have you. You're so talented, and I know you're only going to go up from here.
Yay.
Oh, gosh.
and,
Thank you.
and we've got your back.
Yes.
Thanks. I got you guys, too. You guys are great.
All right. Well, thanks so much, and have a good weekend, and have a good holiday off tomorrow.
Thank you. You guys, too. Rest up.
Absolutely.
Enjoy.
Thank you so much for joining us today. Since we are podcast newbies, it would mean a lot to us if you'd subscribe and rate us on iTunes or wherever you listen to podcasts.
Also, we love to hear from our listeners. Leave us a voicemail at 785-746-2604. Email us at ask@geekygirlguide.com, or hit us up on social media at Geeky Girl Guide, all one word, on Twitter, Facebook, and Instagram.
And remember, in the words of the great John Barrowman, never apologize for being nerdy. Until next time.